What up, Claytriots? It's your boy Clay, streaming at you live from cloudy and dreary St. Louis, Missouri. But at the very least, it is a little bit cooler today. So, I got the windows open, letting in some of that fresh air into the house. It's, it's not that bad. Let's see, yeah, since the last time you guys saw me, personal news, what did I do? I did a little bit of weeding, clearing some weeds from the front of our house. Then me and my wife went and saw that new movie, The Drama, with Robert Pattinson. Honestly, it was better than I was expecting. I wasn't really expecting much from it. So, I was pleasantly surprised. It definitely evoked, some very, cringe feelings in me, which, I assume that's what they were going for. So, but yeah, I don't know. I was pleasantly surprised with that one. And then we came back, played some video games again, and watched Stargate. And then went to bed. And then I woke up today, made myself a nice little breakfast. I made some miso soup and had some scrambled eggs with some add-ins and stuff that made it a little bit more, Asian inspired, just to kind of go better with the miso soup. And then I came up here, and here I am, ready to stream all over you people out there. Oh God, it's good. Sorry guys, that might be my new thing for a little bit. I think that's very funny. And as everybody knows, when I think something's funny, I, beat it into the ground, into oblivion. So, yeah, so today is going to be more of just a casual stream. Right before this, like 5 minutes before, I picked out some videos just to get us started. But, I might be going over to the For You page, scrolling around to try to find whatever I can, whatever content I can mine for you people so that you don't have to. I'm trying to keep all of your content lungs safe from all of the content coal lung that you get when you go digging too deep in there, So let's go and start with this one. Iran. This is the major Iran news of the, of the last day, basically. So we kind of went over it a little bit yesterday. That there was a downed F-15. Iran took out yet another one of our, multi-million-dollar aircrafts that are supposed to be top of the line with their duct tape and bubblegum aircraft defense system. So, yeah, definitely, I'm sure all of my tax dollars are being used 100% efficiently when it comes to these, you know, when it comes to these machineries of death that we create. But anyway, this is just a video to go over, I would assume, some of the last maybe 24 hours of stuff that I missed. It's an 8-minute video by BBC News. It's called U.S. Continues Search for Missing Crew Member from Down Jet as Iran Offers Capture Reward, which I'm sure that they definitely want to capture the person. I would guess that they probably will eventually if he's not already dead. Like, he might already be dead too. That's another option as well, is that he maybe, you know, didn't, like, he might have landed somewhere that was like not good. Like, he maybe got stuck somewhere. He maybe came across some people who, you know, were like freaked out by him and shot him or something. Like, there's all kinds of ways that he could already be dead. But I also assure you that if America gets the chance, they're going to initiate our own version of the Hannibal Directive and just kill him ourselves too. I mean, if they can't save him, but we're probably not quite as brutal to our military people as like Israel is to theirs if they get caught. But yeah, I don't know. There's definitely a chance that we're going to end up just killing him so we don't have to deal with the consequences of Iran having a hostage. But okay, let's go ahead and watch this video. Enough rambling.
Iran and the US are racing to find the missing crew member of a downed American fighter jet. Tehran says it shot down the F-15 over the southwest of the country and that soldiers are searching the area. US officials have told the BBC's partner network, CBS News, that the other person in the aircraft has been rescued. Iran's state media reports that the country's air defense system shot down a second US aircraft, which crashed in the Gulf. Let's get the latest now from our correspondent in Washington, Tom Bateman.
US search helicopters prowl the skies over southern Iran, now in a deadly race to find America's missing airmen. Iranian state TV showing pictures of what it says is the wreckage of the downed US fighter plane. The Iranians claim it was shot down by an air defense system as it flew over a rugged province in southwestern Iran. Pictures on...
Yeah, again, I have to ask, I thought we had complete air superiority. I thought we had air dominance. This is just showing like how... This is kind of like showing just how much propaganda our administration is trying to spew out, because they've claimed, yeah, that we can just loiter at will above the Iranian skies and not face any consequences because we've completely destroyed all of their air defenses. And it's just like, I don't know, this is just completely proving that not to be the case. I think this will be a pretty big this will potentially change some people's minds. The people who buy into American propaganda or whatever, like, very heavily, this might be one of those moments where people are like, wait, are we actually winning? And it might change some polling, but I don't know for sure. You know, Americans are cattle by and large, so they tend to just go along with whatever they're told. But sometimes this sort of stuff can puncture that.
Social media purport to show one of the two ejector seats. These images are as yet unverified, but appear to be consistent with parts of an F-15 fighter jet. US officials say they launched a combat rescue mission under fire, finding one of the F-15 crew, its pilot. But the recovery helicopter was hit by gunfire, injuring crew members.
The recovery helicopter was... What? Did they down a helicopter too? I guess they didn't down it. Maybe they just, because the next video I had was going to go over this, but the video is said helicopter rescue team wounded by enemy fire. So I guess maybe they got one of them too. So that's also another huge, propaganda victory for Iran.
Pictures appear to show men in a field opening fire on American Pavehawk helicopters used in search operations. Another plane...
It's crazy, just a couple bullets and like just firing from the ground at these, like, yeah, that's kind of insane. If they actually injured somebody, that's crazy.
Involved was also hit, an A-10 Warthog like this. Its pilot ejected over the Gulf and was rescued. Meanwhile, Iranian government messages have been broadcast calling on residents to join a hunt for the pilots, offering a bounty for their capture. This is the F-15E Strike Eagle, one of America's most advanced fighter planes. It's used for bombing raids and to shoot down drones. Behind the pilot is a weapons systems officer. Shown here at RAF Lakenheath in Suffolk, Iran's military claims the downed plane was from the Lakenheath squadron, but the BBC has not confirmed this. This former F-15 pilot says the missing crew member will have been equipped for survival. Once they're on the ground there, what's going to be going through their minds?
First thing is, how do I get myself away from where it is that I am? And then how do I make contact with friendly forces to get myself back into friendly hands?
The White House says President Trump has been...
Each one of these F-15s, by the way, is $90 to $100 million. So, you know, that's real fun. And each of the drones and stuff that they use are like, I don't know exactly how much their air defense missiles cost or whatever. But yeah, each of their drones are like $10,000. So it's like, you know, yeah, this is definitely maintainable. For sure. 100%.
Been briefed. He said nothing publicly about the rescue operation, posting only on social media about Iran. Keep the oil, anyone? US Central Command released pictures of what it called its undeniable progress, saying Iran's air defense systems had been largely destroyed. But its claims to have free reign over Iran's skies will ring hollow, with the first known loss of a manned US aircraft there since the start of the war, and a perilous search behind Iranian lines. The fate of the missing crew member could determine the direction of this conflict, already unpopular with Americans, overseen by a leader looking for ways to end it. Tom Bateman, BBC News, Washington.
While President Trump refused to discuss details.
Well, we also know that Donald Trump loves to create a bunch of problems and then treat like the solution, like treat going back to the status quo before he created all of the problems as like a victory. So maybe this is just some like elaborate plot of like, oh, yeah, we intentionally lost a couple or lost a service member over there, and then we're going to find the service member and then you know, like save them and then be like, see, we solved it, the war is over, we accomplished our objectives or whatever. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know anymore
Of the search and rescue operation, but said the day's events would not affect any negotiations with Iran. Our correspondent Simi Jola Osho in Washington has sent us this report.
We are told President Trump's national security team spent Thursday in the West Wing of the White House providing him with updates on the initial search and rescue operation. Now, President Trump wouldn't comment to the media specifically on the operation, but when asked whether this would affect negotiations with Iran, he said he didn't expect it to. When asked what his response would be if this crew member was found harmed, he simply said he hoped that wouldn't be the case. Now, this all comes after President Trump claimed that Iran's air defenses were weakened and said that Iran couldn't do a thing about US aircraft operating in its territory. Now we're hearing that Iran's Revolutionary Guard have sealed off a huge area and is conducting a search using troops and locals to try and find this missing crew member. This has become a high stake.
I would also say that, like, I mean, I'm sure that Iran wants them alive, but if the wrong people, like, because the Iranian like civilians and like citizens who might be partaking in this like this search effort probably hate, you know, Americans' fucking guts, you know, like it would be, I think, like there's a possibility that they would just kill him on site, especially if they weren't like officially, like if they were just random people who showed up instead of like officially like licensed by the IRGC to go search for them or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. So there's always that like it's possible that he's already dead, to be honest, but who knows? We'll find out more as time goes on.
Search on the ground between the two adversaries for this missing American service member.
Simi Jola-Osho in Washington for us. Let's bring you some of the day's other main developments in the Middle East now. And Iranian missiles hit residential areas in parts of central Israel in the early hours of Saturday. Israel's military says it's conducting strikes on Lebanon's capital, Beirut. The IDF says the strikes are targeting Hezbollah infrastructure sites.
Yeah, right.
Elsewhere, heavy explosions.
It's all civilian shit. We know Israel's like game plan now. They just, their goal is not to defeat Hezbollah. Their goal is to kill as many civilians as they possibly can. That's their goal, and then steal the territory. So yeah, that's silly. That's silly. And these networks need to stop repeating that like uncritically. They need to be like notorious liars and civilian and infant killers. The Israeli occupation forces has said that they are definitely only targeting Hezbollah infrastructure in Beirut. This is probably a lie, considering they lie more than anybody else in the history of the world has ever lied. Like, that's how you could do objective reporting on this issue. It's like, I don't know. It's so funny to me that they're just not able to tell the truth, because they have to, it's like they want to appear impartial, but because it's such, like, there is no impartiality when it comes to genocide and war crimes, that it just makes them seem so laughably unbelievable the way that they report it, and like lose all of their trust and respect by reporting it that way. So I don't know, that's one thing that's so striking to me is in the modern day, is that like, because you have to feel it's almost like they think they'll get more credibility if they remain impartial, but when it comes to things like this, if you remain impartial, like in the face of reality, when reality is like partial to one side, aka being against genocide or whatever, or like, like the reality of genocide, like you just come off as completely biased and stuff. So whatever.
Have been reported in the Iranian capital, Tehran. Fighter jets have also been heard in the sky. And Bahrain urged residents to seek shelter, with sirens sounding right across the country as Iran continues attacking Gulf states. As the US-Israel conflict with Iran intensifies, unrest is spreading across the region. President Trump is warning Iran of greater destruction unless it does what it knows it has to do. Now, legal experts.
Oh, wow, what a surprise. Is he threatening to rain fire and fury on them again? Is he going to send them back to the Stone Age again? Is he going to they'll make them regret everything that they've ever done again? Like, what's the threat this time? I mean, at this point, does anyone ever actually believe what he's saying? Like that he's going to fucking do anything? He's not going to do jack shit, dude. Like they may do a ground operation at some point. That's the only escalatory option at this point, if they're going to try to escalate. Everything else is just more of the same. Like it's no different than what we're already doing. So there's no threat there. It's a blatant, like, who cares? Like, I don't know. That's ridiculous.
Experts have issued an open letter raising concerns about possible violations by all sides. Our correspondent Lorna Gordon is in Dubai and explains what the letter said. And just apologies, it's Joel Gunter for us in Jerusalem about to report.
This is now the very big issue in the region, that this F-15 fighter jet was downed over Iran. It was less than a week ago that the US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was boasting that the US had achieved such air superiority over Iran and degraded Iran.
Hey, do you remember what I was saying back then? If you were technically clayhead out there, a claytriot, you heard me saying that is bullshit. That there's no way to degrade everything 100%. It's impossible. There's literally no way to do it. So it was always just a matter of time before this happened. And again, it'll be just a matter of time until it happens again. It's like, because it's impossible, I'm going to repeat again, impossible to 100% degrade like an enemy in its military capacity. You can get 90%, you can maybe get 95%. It's impossible to do it 100%, especially like without ground forces. Maybe if you did a full occupation and you occupied the entire country of Iran, then you could fully degrade it. But until you do that, there's literally no way. It's impossible.
Iran's air defenses so badly that they could fly heavy, slow-moving bombers like the B-52 without concern. Now, just a few days later, we have this jet being downed. We have one member of the crew who's been rescued, but one still unaccounted for. And as you heard there from our colleagues in DC, the IRGC, the Iranian forces have sealed off a large area and are searching for the pilot. The stakes are now very high. President Trump has said he believes it won't affect negotiations. He refused to comment on how the US might respond to the pilot being captured. But this is already a very unpopular conflict in some ways. There is no clear sense of a way out. As you mentioned, in the region, there are still very heavy strikes going on almost in all directions. We've had some in Israel this morning, which wounded a man in the center of the country. So if this pilot, if this member of the aircrew is captured, it does significantly, potentially raise the stakes for the US.
Yeah. And, keep in mind, all of you Gulf states in Israel and America, Iran said originally they were going to keep this up until November. So, still got like 7 months that you got to keep doing this. Okay. I'm just saying, if what they said is true, if they are going to keep it up for that long, I don't necessarily know if they're going to actually keep it up that long, but I do think they're going to keep it up for like, maybe another month or two. And that's like assuming, there's no actual, ground invasion, because if there's a ground invasion, then this is going to bleed on for decades, so like this conflict is going to bleed on for decades. But which honestly I think is probably the most likely outcome, just because of the nature of American imperialism is they generally don't know how to actually de-escalate in a normal way, like with a negotiation with a country based on like the actual military outcomes of like what is going on. It's the same thing that happened in Russia, man, or Russia, Ukraine. Like the American military machine like does not understand like when you have a strategic, like when you actually have a victory scenario, or like a way out of a war, like when Ukraine pushed back Russia, like in that initial reversal near the beginning of the war, I think it was, I can't remember exactly when it was, but and Ukraine had the best bargaining position that they ever had. And we on the left were all saying, okay, now's the time to negotiate peace. Like these are the best conditions that you are going to possibly get for peace. Like do it. Now's the time. And then all of the neoliberals, all of the neocons were out there saying, no, now's the time to keep pushing. We have to keep, how dare you? Ukraine is going to keep pushing, and it's actually going to even take some of Russian territory. Like that was the shit that they were saying. And it's because the American imperialist machine literally just has no way of actually recognizing potential, like a win when they see it, right? And so recognizing that you need to actually negotiate with your enemies as like equals if you want to actually get out of this war or whatever. And so because of that, I don't foresee this going any other direction other than more escalation, more ground troops, all that sort of stuff. But who knows, we'll see.
And Joe,
I guess it is, let's see, they didn't do it yesterday, so they're either going to do it today or we'll wait another week, people, because we have to wait until markets close. So that's the absurd world that we live in. So let's all pray to the markets. Everybody get out your rain sticks, go out and do your rain dance or whatever for the markets, the market dance. Go out there and do the market dance and pray to the markets that we do not go to war with Iran today. That's what I'm going to do later. Okay. And you all better do it too. We all must all hail the markets. We all pray to the markets that we will not be sending in ground troops. Okay, everybody?
Joel, as you've been talking there, this sense of how the mood is changing right across the region, do you think what's happened in the last 24 hours may change the way the US and Israel go forward in terms of trying to end this war as quickly as possible?
Well, it's been clear for a little while. There have been signs that President Trump is keen for a quick exit. You know, he said this past week that he thought the US would withdraw from this conflict within 2 to 3 weeks. Israeli defense officials here have said that they believe that their military objectives against Iran are almost complete. But in the same sentence, almost, President Trump will say his plan is to bomb Iran back to the Stone Ages. There have been continued strikes now moving on to critical infrastructure, including civilian infrastructure. Those strikes are ongoing. We had the Passover holiday in the past few days in Israel, normally a time of joy and celebration, but continued volleys of Iranian ballistic missiles coming through into Israel, wounding more than a dozen people, some critically. So I can't say there's really a sense.
That means at least one person died. A dozen people, yeah, 1 to 10 ratio, everybody. One person died then, probably.
Here in the region that there is a definitive or reasonable plan for the end of this conflict. Here in Israel, here in other parts of the region, Iran, certainly in southern Lebanon and in the Gulf, it feels very much alive.
Yeah, Israel wants America to do a ground invasion, right? That's like what Israel wants more than anything. They want a full occupation of Iran, so that America sends all of their people into the meat grinder and they don't have to do anything about it. And they get the destabilization of Iran as a part of that. Like that's probably what Israel wants. And they might get it. They might get what they want. We might, send all of our troops in. It'll be a bloodbath. We'll lose probably tens of thousands, I would say, honestly. Because we lost thousands in Iraq, I think, right? This is going to be like 100 times harder, with 100 times stronger of a military that we're going against. So we'll probably lose like tens of thousands of people. I don't know if it'll be successful at all. And I assure you that immediately after we withdraw in like 20 years or whatever, the IRGC will immediately take over again. So like that may be what happens. I don't know. I think the worst thing for Israel would be for us to just unilaterally withdraw. Because then Iran is going to keep lobbing missiles for the foreseeable future at both the Gulf states and Israel, and they will strategically have a complete and total chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, and then they would then start negotiating peace and treaties with the Gulf states first, and then finally Israel might have to agree to some sort of like peace or treaty with Iran, because they won't be able to keep this up indefinitely. They'll run out of missile interceptors. Their economy will start to tank. Their people will start to be like, they're little Westerners. They'll start to get pissed off at the inconvenience of war, even if they are bloodthirsty. And eventually they would have to negotiate a peace, essentially cementing Iran as the regional hegemon. So that's kind of like the other option that's out there. I don't really know exactly what's going to go on, but I'm leaning towards a full military occupation. That's kind of where, like, I think it's more likely than not that that's going to happen. But okay, let's go ahead and watch this next one real quick. This is a short video. This is about that helicopter rescue team. Apparently somebody was wounded. From what we saw in the previous one, it looked like it was just people shooting at them from the ground. So that's kind of interesting. So let's watch this Fox News video, see what's going on here.
An F-15E down. A U.S. fighter jet crashed in southwestern Iran, but not before both crew members successfully ejected. One American airman has been rescued by U.S. forces, and the other is still missing, with a massive search underway. Meanwhile, a so-called flying tank, the A-10 Warthog, did also take enemy fire in the Middle East today. Joining us now with the very latest, our very own Jennifer Griffin. Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Lawrence. We have some new details about the F-15E, which was shot down last night, and the A-10 Warthog, which was fired on and crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. The pilot of the A-10 Warthog was rescued after the crash, we've learned, and 2 rescue helicopters involved in the search for the missing F-15E weapons systems officer were damaged by enemy fire. And
2? They got 2 helicopters? Jesus, dude. Oh my God. They are taking out our military equipment, our multi-million-dollar equipment with fucking like AK-47s on the ground or something. Like, this is fucking insane. I've never seen so many like America's military prestige drop so quickly. Like, this is crazy. This is an earth-shattering event for American hegemony, like an America military force projection. We are living in an entirely new world after this, where everybody just sees us as like a paper tiger that obviously we can deal death and destruction to civilians at significant, insignificant quantities, but obviously like killing as many civilians as possible does not lead to an actual strategic outcome. So that's like, okay, cool, great, the world's a worse place and you also lose still. You know what I'm saying? But also just like how little it takes, like a couple guys firing some guns at a helicopter from the ground puts them out of commission, or like Iran's duct tape and bubblegum air defenses are taking out some of the most advanced military planes that we have. I'm sure China right now and Russia are like, God, I didn't think it was going to be this easy to defeat America. Like, I thought it was going to be like at least somewhat difficult. This is crazy. $1.5 trillion. That's what they're paying for this shit. Like, if I were China, that's literally what I would be thinking right now. $1.5 trillion for this shit. That's crazy. Okay, let's keep going.
some of the helicopter crew members were injured, we're told, but they did manage to land safely. The U.S. F-15E was shot down late Thursday night before the sun rose on Friday in Iran. The pilot was rescued, but an urgent search continues for the weapons system officer who sits behind the pilot in the Strike Eagle cockpit. He has not been found. U.S. officials tell me there was enemy fire during the rescue of the F-15E pilot. Video from Iran appears to show one of the American rescue helicopters being hit by enemy fire, black smoke coming off of its tail. This photo shows the ejection seat and parachute of one of the Strike Eagle crew members, likely the pilot who ejected after being shot down. Both crew members would have been given extensive SEER, survival and evasion training. Markings on the wreckage from the tail shown here would indicate this was an aircraft assigned to the 494th Fighter Squadron stationed in Lakenheath in England, based on its red band. This is one of the units deployed to the Middle East since the start of the war 35 days ago. The U.S. F-15...
Dude, this is crazy. Yeah, Rich, I completely agree. I don't think Iran is that worried at all. Necessarily for a ground invasion. The people, I feel bad for the civilians, which are obviously going to potentially suffer a lot, but like I do think that I don't know, they're just memeing on us at this point. Like, it feels like if we did do a ground invasion, it'd probably be a bloodbath. But
E was shot down in southwest Iran. The Zagros mountain range cuts through the remote province. Images of the Pave Hawk rescue helicopters being refueled during daylight shows the urgency of the rescue efforts, but also the vulnerability of U.S. aircraft to anti-aircraft fire or shoulder-fired missiles. A big win for Iranian propaganda today. Secretary Hegseth has been at the White House with the president. Yesterday, Hegseth surprised the Pentagon and White House by firing the Army Chief General Randy George, a respected close ally of Army Secretary Dan Driscoll.
See, this is one of those things. I was talking about this a little bit yesterday, but I feel like the Army Chief of Staff or whatever was probably like, no, we do not want to go to, like, we do not want to send our guys in for a ground invasion. Like, it's going to be a bloodbath. And I bet Hegseth was like, nah, we're doing that shit. So he just got rid of him is kind of what I think happened. But I don't know. Also, they've been like, he's been on like a anti-woke crusade the entire time. So it's possible that the guy was just like stop trying to make the army into like some like crusader thing or whatever. So there's that possibility too.
Multiple sources tell us the removal has to do with Secretary Hegseth's rivalry with Driscoll, who is a close ally of Vice President J.D. Vance and was considered on a short list to replace Hegseth at one point. Lawrence.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. If you get any breaking news, please alert us. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, so I guess that's what's going on there. That is insane, though, that the helicopters, like they're literally just shooting at them from the ground and they're causing this much damage, man. This is America's century of humiliation. It's beginning, everybody. Let's see what else we got. I'm gonna go with we'll go with this one. Okay, so this is from Fox News again. I got a lot of Fox News on this one, man. But they're the most unhinged, so they're also the funnest to watch a lot of the time. But so this video is this is a classic America propaganda move. For some reason, we always, like, every single one of our enemies somehow is always recruiting child soldiers, it feels like. And so Fox News is about to start that same old tale as old as time of Iran begins recruiting child soldiers. I guess it's happening, people. We'll see what they have to say. I have a feeling that like, I don't think Iran needs child soldiers, to be honest, right now. Like they're like, I think they have plenty of like military age recruited people or whatever. Sorry, I'm trying to read what you're saying. It didn't show up on my chat. Rich buddy, 1 second. OBS being annoying. People or whoops. Yeah, all stemming from the Epstein files. Definitely that's a possibility. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not one of these people who believe that, like, this is some distraction or whatever from the Epstein files, or that's how it was intended to be. Because I do think America's, like, imperialist ambitions have been, like, leading to this war over the past, like, 30 or 40 years. And Iran kind of knew that as well, that when they, like, how they designed their society and stuff. But I do think that, like, you know, multiple things can be true, right? And also, like, you know, I think like Netanyahu definitely has, you know, that leverage over Trump, which makes it easier for him to get, like, these sorts of things to happen. Like with Trump's, like, you know, Epstein relations and stuff. So it's like, you know, it all makes all of these things sort of coalesce into this happening now. But I do think America's, you know, imperialist ambitions would have kind of led to this war regardless, is my opinion personally. But okay, let's go. Sorry, let's get into this video. Iran begins recruiting child soldiers.
We own the airspace, so we're constantly surveilling day and night. When we identify, we destroy. There's no problem in executing destruction. The challenge is identifying. But this is about vigilance. This is about discipline. This is about our capability. We're good at it.
General Jack Keane a bit earlier today giving us a state of affairs right now for the war in Iran. Day 35, and this was the bridge that was hit this week. Said to be the tallest bridge, still a bit under construction right now, tallest bridge in the Middle East. And you can see like a span of that bridge has just been knocked out. This is a satellite image of it about 45 minutes west of Tehran. It was posted on the president's Truth Social page yesterday. So on the map in Tehran over the past 36 hours, some of the military action that'd be located right about here. And you see the inset, that graphic to the left of Tehran. So you've got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, about 7 different hits on the capital city.
Dude. This is how you know it's going terribly. I said this before, but like when they start talking about how many targets they've hit, like 1,200 targets, 1,300 targets, it's just number go up bullshit. Like they're just trying to sell you the war. That, like, tactical operations, like the number of targets hit, does not imply any sort of strategic plan or victory. So this sort of stuff, like, I see right through it. This is like some of the most annoying, like, basic, like, not even trying propaganda. Like, and it's what's really frustrating to me is I feel like I have to always re-explain this because they do the same thing over and over again in every war. Like, I have to re-explain, like, tactical, like, number go up shenanigans like this does not imply any sort of strategic outcome. But yeah, I see what you're doing, buddy.
City of Tehran alone. And down here along the Strait of Hormuz, again, that's Bandar Abbas. You've been watching our show for the past 2 weeks. Talked a lot about that city right along the Persian Gulf. It had another confirmed airstrike in the past 36 hours. The Iranians, meanwhile, they have not been silent now, with their missile batteries and their drones still not largely intact, but apparently a good number of supply still around the area. These are the energy facilities throughout the Gulf region in the Middle East now that have been hit, certainly in Israel, in the northern city of Haifa. But this activity here is really striking, right? That's Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, that's the UAE, and it is just across the Persian Gulf and an easier target for the Iranians. Retired Vice Admiral Robert Harward is with me now, former Deputy Commander of CENTCOM. And sir, welcome to our coverage. Day 35 now. What's your focus? What are you observing now?
Bill, as you just talked about, it still remains the missiles and the Straits of Hormuz. The fact that after 35 days, we've still not been able to shut down their missiles and we can't get traffic through the straits, make it clearly understand why the president's frustrated. But you can say this is also the last lifeline for the government of Iran. That's their last elements of power. So they've got to sustain that to remain in power, not only externally, but internally. And you also talk about this bridge. The geography of Iran is very...
I'm not so sure. So oil is a large portion of Iran's exports, and obviously controlling the strait, the power that they get from controlling the strait is more about blocking other people, like the Gulf's allies, from being able to export their oil on, like, without having to come to them for permission, essentially, right? Or, like, obviously they're probably not going to do that until, you know, they're no longer at war with Iran. But like the power, like, so obviously a lot of their income and stuff comes from oil. I'm not exactly sure how much. Let me see if I can Google real quick. What percent of Iran's income oil? Okay, Google AI says 18% to 50%, which is a huge range. Let's see, Iran oil revenue is around 20%, is what this thing says. So 20% of their revenue comes from oil. So even if they were unable, like, even if they mined it, or if they completely destroyed it, or if you completely destroyed all of Iran's oil capabilities, the fact that they still are able to control and shoot missiles and drones for the indefinite future at anybody who's trying to use it, like, it would essentially, like, that is where their power comes from when it comes to the strait. It's not necessarily just about how much, like, about their oil, I guess.
Very limiting.
Or their income.
The Zagros Mountains running north to south in the west, the Alborz Mountains in the north on the east to west, and then the large deserts such as the Dasti Kadir make these roads critical to Tehran. These are somewhat the main thoroughfares. So if they're going to move logistics, if they're going to move people, they're going to move assets along these roads. So I think that's why they decided to start going after some of the civilian and significant infrastructure.
Well, we've talked about asymmetric warfare,
that's why.
and you know, the asymmetry that Iran has really poses a danger for the region and the United States. Talk about Hezbollah and the Houthis, et cetera. But here's another aspect a lot of people haven't considered. Wall Street Journal today: Iran beefs up defenses, recruits children as it prepares for ground war.
The Wall Street Journal. Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. We'll see. I would have to read that article. I'm assuming they'll go into it a little bit. But yeah, I'm not quite buying it yet.
This is an
We'll
all-out
see.
fight if the U.S. invades, including new attacks on the Gulf. With regard to that potential invasion, what do you see in the amphibious forces that have moved in there? What do you see in the 82nd Airborne, sir?
The options to put troops on the ground anywhere we want. If it's going to help solve those two problems on the missiles and the straits, then it may be worth the risk. But they can't deny us access, talking about asymmetric warfare, where they tried to deter us from activities. That's what they've used the missiles and the straits for. They can't stop our forces. If we want to put those assets.
Okay, dude. Okay. I do believe, well, I don't know. I'm actually kind of 50-50 if America is even capable of doing an Iraq-style occupation of Iran, especially at this point in time with, like, I don't know, how bloated and degraded our military is. Like, I don't, maybe we can. Like, we do have the biggest, like, you know, the strongest military in the world. We spend an ungodly amount of money on it. However, it's going to be a bloodbath. That's what I keep saying. And it's not really about whether we militarily can. It's about whether we have the political will to do it. And the American populace so far hates this fucking war. They don't want to do it. And when you start getting, and remember, Iraq, like, it was like thousands of troops, right, that died over the course of that occupation. If we did this in Iran, it would be tens of thousands. It could be 50,000, you know, like, it would be a huge amount of people who would die. And I just don't think that we have the political will to do that. And that's where I think these guys get a little mixed up.
Anywhere
the pics are just a parade, like when we take our kids to visit the retired USS Iowa, the soldiers toss vests on the kids and stuff. Oh, gotcha. So if that's what they're talking about with the child soldiers or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I assumed that it was something bullshit like that. Or I was thinking maybe it would be like they're having, like, you know, the kids, like, can come to some military, like, expose, or like a military sort of, like, event or something, and then that's how they get I guess that's kind of the same thing, but, like, that's how they're calling it. Yeah, I didn't really buy it, but I was hoping they'd go a little bit more into it. Maybe they will after this.
we can do that, and they can't stop us.
Okay, Javad Zarif, I think I'm saying his name right. He's the former Iranian foreign minister, okay? So he's not in power, but he is alive. And apparently he put out a proposal in a written piece that cleared overnight. And this is what he said in part, how Iran should end the war. Tehran should offer to place limits on its nuclear program and to reopen the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for an end to all sanctions, a deal Washington would not take before but might accept now.
Okay, Tehran should offer to place limits on its nuclear program. They already offered that. They didn't have any desire for a nuclear weapon. And to reopen the Strait of Hormuz that was open before this whole thing started in exchange for an end to all sanctions. That would be so. Okay, first and foremost, I think Iran can do a little better than that at this particular moment in time. However, this would be hilarious if we took this deal, because it would be the exact same situation that they were in before the war even started, except they would have, like, all sanction, like, complete and total sanctions relief. And if you remember when Iran literally offered, like, crazy concessions to America before this all started, like, they offered the whole world on a platter, like, everything that America could possibly want, like, and like, Trump said no, like, and so I don't know. But I still think Iran could probably get a little bit more than this. I think that they will just maintain full control of the Strait of Hormuz for the indefinite future, and they'll probably, you know, do their, like, tolls or whatever, because there's nothing that America can really do about it aside from a full military occupation. But yeah.
I don't know how this works in the hierarchy of power within the Iranian government now, but does that tell you something about the potential for the state of diplomacy? Because if people are listening to him, I think that's the first indication, maybe, that the Iranians are moving in these so-called talks.
Bill, without a doubt, you have a senior leader acknowledging the demands we've made. And so that's a big step in and of itself. But validation of, does he have the authorization? Who's speaking for the government? So that's at least a crack in that veneer that here's a guy willing to step forward and has been part of the government to say that. So I think you're seeing indicators of the regime and how fragile and how damaging this has become to them. And understanding, like your previous statement about children, a lot of it's just rhetoric as well. So how do you differentiate what's reality and what is rhetoric from the regime? And this is part of their problem. It may get to the point where it's too late. They're putting out rhetoric and it's already a fait accompli. So I know our intelligence community is seeing that, understanding that, and we'll see how this plays out at the end
The
of the
reason I
day.
mentioned him also, just to put a fine point on this, is that he is the one who helped propose the current president of Iran. So maybe his words carry weight. And maybe they don't, but it's a data point that we'll watch.
Great analysis. Love it. They really didn't talk about the child soldier stuff at all. I thought that was what this video was going to be about. It turned out to just be like they briefly mentioned it in the middle. Sorry. Like I said before, I think that yeah, it's probably bullshit. According to, Rich Buddy here, it's like a parade where they're just, tossing vests on children, just, to doing typical like rah, we're getting behind the flag of our, or like lining up behind the flag of our government sort of stuff. So, okay, let's go ahead and check out this video.
Before I play you this next.
This was from yesterday. I didn't actually see what this was. I think I heard about it though, so I wanted to check it out. It's probably going to be a nothing burger, or something that like we already know, or like all you fellow Claytriots out there already know because I give the best analysis here. But so White House. This is MS now. MSDNC. White House accidentally releases video of Trump saying the truth about the war's priority. So we'll see if we get any new information out of this one.
Before I play you this next very instructive clip, I want to note that the only reason we have it is because the White House seemingly accidentally posted a live stream of it, which they then tried to delete, but not before the internet saved it for posterity. And just for context, Donald Trump starts by referring to the head of the Office of Management and Budget, the Christian nationalist author of Project 2025, Russell Vought.
We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. We have to take care of one thing, military protection. We have to guard the country.
All right. All these little scams that have taken place, like that little scam daycare. Joining me now is Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen, member of the Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, good to see you. Thank you for being with us. Let me throw some numbers out at you. Apparently, the Penn-Wharton budget model says this war has cost $65 billion so far. The White House is asking for $200 billion for it.
$200 billion, yeah. That's crazy. I also, this was a really funny thing that happened, but so Iran, as part of their like, what they want for peace was like they wanted $100 billion from America and $100 billion from Israel. And so I thought it was really funny that like right after that, they came out and asked for $200 billion for the war. But yeah, and also they recently announced our defense budget is going up yet again, $1.5 trillion. Yeah, and I kind of went over this yesterday, but America, our productive capabilities, like what we get for that $1.5 trillion is like nothing compared to like China. They have like a $229 billion budget and they make like 20 ships a year. Like they have insane production capabilities and it costs like a fraction of it. But yeah, that was just a little funny side note about, the absurdity of our political system and the like how we fund our pedo wars of aggression that we do abroad.
The Tomahawk missiles alone are $3 billion. They take a year to two to build per missile. We've spent $3 billion on them. This is in a country where we had Doge ripping apart the government last year. We had people not getting their food stamps. We have people not getting their Obamacare subsidies. But we're spending somewhere between $65 billion and $200 billion on a war that no one is able to explain.
Well, Ali, that's right. And we should all remember that during the campaign, candidate Donald Trump promised that he would keep us out of foreign wars and focus instead on trying to make things better right here at home. Instead, he did.
He presented himself as an anti-war candidate, and a lot of people bought it. I mean, I didn't really buy it, but a lot of people bought it. But a lot of that, you got a little D right there, a little D next to your name. A lot of that, the problem was that Kamala Harris did not present herself as an anti-war candidate. In fact, she presented herself as an incredibly hawkish, I don't know, sort of war hawk, basically, saying she wanted to have the most, most lethal military in the world or whatever. Yeah, she literally just ceded that ground entirely to Donald Trump, and also because she wasn't willing to break with Genocide Joe on the Gaza genocide. Like, she was not able to present herself as an anti-war candidate, and so that there's also a lot of fault that lies with the Democratic Party as a whole for allowing Trump 2.0 to come to power here, and
along with Prime Minister Netanyahu started a foreign war. Prices are going up. And now he says, well, we've got to pay for this war in Iran by cutting back on federal investments. You played the clip with childcare, but there are also other points in that speech where he talks about cutting Medicaid, cutting Medicare. So the bottom line is the president who said he wouldn't start a war now wants to pay for it by...
You'll also notice that they never, ever, ever consider the easiest way to raise revenue for the government: taxing people, taxing the rich. Like, that is the way that historically, before we were on the new, the American petrodollar as the global reserve currency that we're allowed to just manipulate at whim, basically. Before that, if you wanted to go to war, you had to raise taxes. That was the only way that you could fund the war. But that became incredibly unpopular, right? That became, and nobody wanted to, if the president, in order to do this war on Iran, said, we have to raise everybody's taxes by 20% or something, right? And he just came out and said that, then they wouldn't be able to go to war, right? Because everybody would riot, basically. Since the American dollar became the reserve currency, what they do instead is they just borrow money. They borrow money from the rest of the world and from us in order to fund these, our pedo wars of aggression for the Epstein class, the billionaires, to profit off of. That's how we fund it. And the other way that we fund it is cutting social services like this. But they never even once consider, hey, maybe we just raise taxes to fund it. Because these wars, if there was a material cost on, in particular, the Epstein class, the billionaires, from raising taxes to fund it, then we would be a lot less likely to get into these wars of imperialism. So it is always so funny to me that they never even consider that as an option. They never even mention it as an option. The Dems don't even mention it as an option. They don't go out there and say, hey, instead of paying for this through cutting services, we should just pay through taxing billionaires. That would be a pretty good message, I think, to put out there, because a lot of people don't like our deficit going up indefinitely from borrowing infinite amounts of money. So I don't know. I just kind of wish that, it's just an interesting phenomenon to me.
by cutting deeply into American health care programs and other programs that help American families here at home.
But that's not that surprising, is it, Senator? I mean, you go back to the history of wars that America has started. One group tends to benefit from this very well, either oil producers or munitions makers. I mean, that's the nature of the game. It becomes too much money that we have to pay for a war, so you're going to have to cut it from the people who can least afford it.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, you've got defense contractors who are going to be raking it in, and other folks who are close to the president are going to be raking it in.
Yeah, I mean, the defense contractors are essentially just stealing our tax dollars. Like, that's what they're doing. They are just skimming money off the top. It doesn't cost $1 billion or whatever to produce like one Tomahawk missile a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, like the actual productive cost of like making that thing is like maybe $100,000, you know, like I feel like, right? Like it can't be that high. And if we lived in a different type of society with a better organization of our economy, like we wouldn't have to pay that much to produce like one missile. Like, so, yeah, I don't know.
But the American people will suffer. And of course, this comes on top of what Donald Trump and Republicans in Washington did last year, right? They passed their so-called big, beautiful bill, which was beautiful if you're a billionaire. You got really big tax cuts. But to partially pay for that, they cut Medicaid, they cut food nutrition programs. So now comes this year, and Donald Trump goes off and starts a war and says, well, we're going to have to cut back on Medicare, we're going to have to cut back on Medicaid, we're going to have to cut back on our efforts to make child care more affordable. So at the end of the day, he is screwing the American people and doing exactly what he said he was going to avoid. He said he was going to focus on things here at home, keep us out of foreign wars. He's done exactly the opposite.
I was talking to Ben Rhodes about this a minute ago. I want to play it for you, something that he said about gas prices in the Oval Office. Let's listen.
Gas prices. Today they hit $4.
We're $4, yeah, and we have a country that's not going to be throwing a nuclear weapon at us in 6 months.
But Americans are feeling the effects in the interim.
And they're also feeling a lot safer.
What is the plan to bring them back down?
Well, I don't think that they would have had an intercontinental like nuke. If I had to guess, they were going to have, if they were going to get a nuke, which I do not believe that they were going to do, but if they were going to get a nuke, I'm pretty sure they would just have it like capable of reaching Israel, and that's about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think that's the only deterrence they feel like they need. I don't think they were going for an intercontinental, but you know,
to do is
who knows, right?
Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon, and they'll become tumbling down.
We're not going to have a country that's going to be throwing a nuclear weapon at us in 6 months. That's just nonsensical talk. There's no. I mean, you know these things. You're on serious committees in the Senate. There was no discussion about Iran throwing a nuclear weapon at America in 6 months or 6 years.
It was a complete and total lie, Ali. And you know, the president himself, you know, told the country last year that he had
obliterated it.
Iran's nuclear enrichment program, obliterated it. And then his DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, testified publicly the other day that Iran has made no effort to try to reconstitute that nuclear enrichment program. And so that was just a complete and total lie. And as you and Ben Rhodes discussed, I mean, they're nowhere near any kind of ballistic missile that can reach the United States. So this was all a fabrication by the president of the United States.
They know they don't need that. They can just impact the global economy. Like Americans are, the amount of suffering we are willing to take for war is like absurdly low. Like the gas going above like $5 a gallon is basically the most that like we would be able to suffer as a people for this war. So they didn't need to create because we live in an international capitalist system. They didn't need to create some ballistic missile that will materially damage be able to hit American infrastructure. They can just raise the gas prices to $5 a gallon, and then we'll cry uncle. Is basically like their plan. And I don't know. I think it seems like it's kind of working.
States to try to justify his actions while Americans are hurting here at home. We've lost 13 of our service members, hundreds wounded. As you discussed,
I'm going to let this finish off. I got to use the bathroom.
Thousands of civilians killed in the region, and we're paying $2 billion a day, we, the American taxpayers, while gas prices are going up. And now Donald Trump says, well, you know, we've got to cut back on other investments that are important to the American people. This war should never have started. We should end it now. Donald Trump is talking about asking for another $200 billion. And I can tell you, Allie, I won't vote for one more dime for this illegal war of choice.
I think we're going to find a lot of people on both sides of the aisle who are going to say no one has given us an explanation as to why we need to be spending another dime on this war. Senator, good to see you as always. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, I'm back. I was worried it was gonna, I wasn't gonna make it back in time before I start auto-playing something else. Okay, people, that was Iran content for now. I'm gonna move on to some more fun stuff, I guess, or like kind of fun, I guess. I don't know. The next clip that I wanted to watch was this guy here. We're gonna check in on AsmonGoy, as he's so lovingly called. This is a Hassan clip, but I'm just watching it so that I can see what's going on in the, the cockroach universe, the cockroach cinematic universe. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and watch this video. We'll see what Asmon's saying. I don't know if I'll watch the whole thing, but then after that, I might move on to x.com.
Even have one country, some hole that's the size of New Jersey, Israel, they can't even have that.
Israel, size of New Jersey, Israel. Why can they not have Israel? One country, tiny nation, Israel, size of New Jersey. We're getting Mog dog, that's insane. I mean, have you thought about listening to what AsmonGoy has to say? I'm sure he has a lot of clever opinions on everything that's unfolding. You know, I'm sure he's out there talking about how everything is great. As a matter of fact, everything is great.
I'm gonna skip ahead to the Asmon portion. I'm assuming he's talking here, or like once he's on screen.
To Israel and
a little bit
on
early.
To you,
killing their own people, then assigning ownership of it to Israel and America. No, maybe Israel and America helped because they thought that it's bad to kill your own protesters.
Okay, so I think AsmonGoy here is talking about the fact that Israel was arming those protesters to try and like stoke some sort of, some sort of like revolution or whatever in Iran. And so AsmonGoy here, he's arguing that actually that's a good thing. Okay.
Guy who literally said regime change wars and like democratizing Iraq is a spectacular failure and didn't work.
I think that we play too big of a role in other countries' military shit. Like, we're too interventionary. We get too involved into other people's business. It's a waste of our money. The people there probably hate us. Like, where's really the upside here, right? I think that
dude, I mean, has anyone ever heard, like, it's a quote, usually I think it's applied to liberals or whatever, but it's like, liberals are they hate every previous war, but they're always for the war that's like going on right now or whatever. And AsmonGoy, I guess, is, he's I would just consider him a general reactionary. Like, I don't think he really has ideology, if I had to guess, like in terms of like, right left political spectrum or whatever, but like he is kind of just expressing like just the general attitude of like of liberals, like more broadly, of like or at least like for most wars, maybe not this one in particular, but of like, Iraq was stupid, Afghanistan was stupid, like Libya was stupid, Vietnam was stupid, Korea was stupid, but this war is rad.
The level that we try to play nation building, especially in places like this, like, you know, like Libya, for example, back in the day, or Iraq. No, absolutely not. Yeah, it's too much, man.
Is now heavily leaning into that exact same narrative at a time when the American government isn't, right? Donald Trump is not even doing this. Donald Trump is basically saying, yeah, we're doing it for oil. Who gives a we're going to bomb everyone in Iran. AsmonGoy is like holding on to this idea that like there is some kind of democracy at play here, some kind of liberation at play here. Also, same guy who has demanded that the American government kill protesters.
Well, maybe you should have just used the gun. I don't know. I think anybody who's going around and trying to hit police officers or anything like that, that's just, there's no reason why anybody should be supporting that. I think, yeah, that base. No, I think, again, I've said this before. I think they should use actual ammo. And
yeah, see, this is the problem with these. Okay, this plays really well in America. America loves hating protesters in general. The problem is that like you are supporting the you know, the general like thuggishness of the state, of the government to beat down any sort of dissent, right? When you are like arguing for the police to like mow down protesters, you know, that is like, these people have never once gone out. I guess what I would say is these people have never once, and the people who believe this and agree with this have never once gone out and actually protested for something they believe in, right? Or like probably not, at least. And if they did, they would, especially if it was against the general like goals of the state and like of the State Department or whatever, they would, I think, be singing a little bit of a different tune. But the problem also is that eventually the material conditions are going to be so bad that a lot of the people who like follow this sort of shit, and even a lot of like the right wingers, are going to be like, okay, we need to do something different. And I think that they will have to somewhat get on board with like, you know, like, in my opinion, like labor, like being pro-labor, being pro-union, being like, and trying to get somebody into office who will actually materially fix the problems of the working class. Like you have to eventually, if your material conditions get bad enough, you have to eventually be like, okay, I'm done with all this reactionary shit. We need something that's going to like actually solve this problem. Get like a Bernie Sanders type person into office. But then these people are going to also then run into the exact same shit that we like, you know, of the broadly left feel anytime we protest against power, is if they go out there and start protesting, they're going to start getting, you know, beaten down and getting the shit kicked out of them by cops. And then they might be singing a little bit of a different tune when that happens. But I think we're probably still a ways away before a lot of these reactionaries are forced to like come back down to reality, if I had to guess.
And if anybody throws a rock or tries to harm one of the police officers, I think they should just use deadly force to stop it from happening.
Same guy who has said America should kill more protesters and put them in concentration camps is now talking about how like we're actually blowing up Iranian bridges, blowing up the Pasteur School of Medicine that's been around since 1920.
Is AsmonGoy still on the like pro-Iran bandwagon, or sorry, the pro like Iran war bandwagon? Like, at this point in time, really? Like, that seems kind of wild to me.
Actually created indigenous COVID vaccine. We're doing that to liberate the Iranian population somehow. No one believes this. This is unbelievably stupid. I don't even think AsmonGoy believes this. He just has no other option here.
Just because they want to change the government. The people aren't doing anything wrong. He just justified mass murder of civilians because of Israel. As I've said before, Hassan will always fall off on the side of defending, rationalizing, justifying, and downplaying Islamic terrorism.
They did Islamic terrorism to our F-15 fighter jet earlier today. Did you guys see that? They did Islamic terrorism to our U.S. Air Force A-10 Warthog when it crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. That was really f***ed up. The way that they did Islamic terrorism to that, really f***ed up, dude. It's Islamic terrorism when you say Israel shouldn't do a genocide. Thank you, AsmonGoy. Oh, dude.
Always do this. Every single time.
Yeah, this is his new talking point about you regarding defending Islamic terrorism. He's done it a few times recently.
I mean, it's like, yeah, it's silly. This is a silly thing. I've said before, terrorism is just a arbitrary word that we use to justify our violence and delegitimize the violence of others, right? Resistance organizations have a right to violent resistance. They do. Under international law, they do. But even outside the scope of like international bodies or institutions, just from a moral perspective, right? People have a right to resist. A slave has a right to engage in violent resistance against their slave owner. And yes, an indigenous person has a right to violent resistance against their, colonial occupiers. So like claiming like things like, oh, they are engaged in Islamic terrorism against an outside colonial force, like invading their country, is absurd. Because obviously they have a right to defend their land and defend their people from like a colonial oppressor just coming in and bombing them. Like, what? Would it be like American terrorism to, like, if, I don't know, like Russia decided to invade Florida or something and a bunch of hogs went out there and started, shooting down like Russian fighter jets or something, like, would that be American terrorism to do that? No, of course not. You're defending, the homeland, as you would say. Like, you have a right to resist, colonial oppression or invasion. So that's just silly.
It's going to have limited success, I think. As people start having to reckon with like how unsuccessful the American initiatives have been thus far, as more and more, American U.S. Air Force assets are taken out, they will realize that it's not, this kind of counter narrative doesn't actually work. I'm just giving you an accurate analysis of the things that are happening. He has embraced the Hasbara, Israel, tiny country size of New Jersey.
Isn't it crazy that they can't even have one country? Some hole that's the size of New Jersey, Israel, they can't even have that.
Why is he being so like pro? This is a little bit weird to me, because I always assumed that he is a relatively anti-Semitic figure, just because most people on the right, but he's like he's very pro-Zionism though. So I don't know. I just don't quite I think that, well, it's probably because he doesn't have any ideology, like, at all, that he is just, very like flip-floppy on whether like he hates Jews or whether he is like, he wants the Jews to have their colonial outpost in the Middle East. AsmonGoy is just such a hard figure to like understand what he actually feels about stuff, but I think it's because he has no ideology and he just kind of goes back and forth on everything.
Israel, size of New Jersey. Israel, why can they not have Israel? One country.
I'm going to skip to this next clip of him.
But yeah, I mean, he went from saying Nick Fuentes is base for doing Holocaust denial.
You're a racist who thinks Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish person watching this, what are they thinking?
Bro, we didn't shift the Overton window. We burned down the house. We burned down the whole neighborhood. Oh my God. This is crazy. Yeah, this is nuts. I saw another clip about this too, with no insurance. Yes, and no survivors.
To hitting Hasbara lines, and defending little old Israel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He just keeps going back and forth, and it's because he has no ideology. I'm pretty sure that's why. But I want to see if he talks about. I saw this guy. This was that like CNN interview or whatever, where they were all like just bitching about Hassan the whole time. So I hope that they play a little bit more of his clip.
Israel here. Why can't they have a little old genocide? I mean, come on.
I mean, bro, think about like, God damn. People are just not having it. Just let him have it, man. God damn.
Let him have a little bit of genocide, dude.
% of Jews on planet Earth live. So it's not, he would.
Even his audience is like not fully on board with it, but I guess they're not suspicious enough of why he's doing this now. But they did not kill 40,000 people in 2 days. Like you're unbelievably dense.
It was 3 days, idiot.
It's just not true. That's not.
They're talking about the protesters. Dude, they're literally doing my meme. They're doing my meme. I said it started out with like 2,000 protesters, then it went up to like 5,000, then it went up to 10,000, then it went up to 20,000, then it went up to 30,000. And the other day, Trump just upped it again. It was actually 45,000 protesters. And soon it'll be like all like 30 million protesters eventually is how many people they killed. It's like wild how just they don't even care. Their lives are so absurd and ridiculous. It's almost hilarious.
Something that happened. There's no evidence that that happened. It's also physically impossible for it to have happened. And most people understand that that is not a correct number. You know, it's an unbelievably high number.
But let's see if there's another clip from Asmon up here.
If you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. Dude. It's not even a question. It's crazy that people don't see it that way.
Dude,
they'd be doing the same thing.
It's just an insane thing to say. This is classic. Like when for instance, like when people like when there were abolitionists like who wanted to end slavery, right? The arguments that were constantly used was like, we can't end slavery because if we do, then the black people are going to commit genocide against us or whatever, right? This sort of like, you know, pretending to be afraid of like a fake, like hypothetical genocide that the people you're colonizing is going to do to you if you ever give them rights or whatever. This is like a propaganda argument as old as time. Like, yeah, something everybody should be aware of.
And how much did they kill? As many as they can. They're not able to kill as many people as Israel because they don't have as many bombs and as many weapons. But if they did, they'd be doing the same thing. That's it. Just takes enough. That's right.
We're seeing in Iran that they don't, right? That because Iran has been very like strategic about which like targets they're hitting, and it really feels like they're trying to do their best to avoid hitting actual civilians, as opposed to America, which is just like, you know, basically carpet bombing, like trying to destroy as many civilians as possible. So
these people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity.
Culture,
and it is
okay, guys. This culture, this dude and his cockroach-infested fucking house, and his you know, his dead squirrel that lives in his attic that wakes him up like an alarm clock whenever the sun comes up and starts roasting its dead body. This is the superior culture. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Dude, like that's the most insane, like that's not a winning argument. Most people look at this person as repulsive. And if you're trying to say that this is the superior culture, that's like, I don't think you're making, you know, I don't think you're winning over too many people.
Directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways. It is that simple. No, I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel sorry for them.
I'm gonna go to the next clip now. I think it's up here.
Yourself. Yeah. It doesn't even contradiction here.
It was 3 days. It took them 3 days to do that.
Convinced yourself. Yeah. It doesn't even matter. Like them killing 10 people
doesn't even matter.
Still fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I've never heard a consistent number on this from people that just turn around and say, oh, they killed, you know, 80,000 people. I've heard 80,000, 50,000, 40,000. It's ridiculous. Shut up. Jesus Christ. How do you not recognize that it's like this is propaganda to actually justify American and Israeli intervention?
But there's no propaganda about Palestine. The amount of people that were killed in Palestine is a defined number that nobody can ever question.
What? Yeah, because it's been verified hundreds of times over. It's significantly higher than the amount that they listed. Like, the Ministry of Health has been like verified to be accurate a million times, like throughout all of the previous conflicts or whatever, the ongoing genocide that Israel has been committed against the Palestinians. Like, the numbers have always been proven to be correct after the fact. So yes, those are trustworthy. America engages in blatant lies about their propaganda on a consistent basis, and they have a much stronger desire to manufacture like consent for this sort of stuff or whatever. Because like, here's what would happen if the Ministry of Health lied even once about, like, you know, the amount of Palestinian civilians that were killed. Like, that would be like every single conflict going forward, they would be like dismissed immediately. And they already kind of were anyway, even if they were 100% accurate. But they would have been dismissed like just instantaneously every single time as Israel commits genocide, you know, for the foreseeable future. So like, yeah, this just shows how little Asmongold actually knows about this shit. And obviously he is very, you know, very much like American propaganda, like consumer or whatever. Like, he doesn't really have the capability, I think, of being able to see outside of the realm of American propaganda.
But whenever Iran intentionally takes off the internet, they shut down the entire internet. They bus in Iraqi militia force.
I'm gonna be honest. If this is the best Israel has as far as Hasbara, it's cooked. They're so done. Like, Israel's strongest Hasbara weapon now is a guy who doesn't shower.
I took a shower for the first time, and as I said, two and a half months yesterday.
And is
superior culture, everybody. Okay, I'm done with AsmonGoy. I'm gonna move on to X.com, the everything app. I'm gonna hang out here for maybe like 15 minutes, but then I gotta go. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here. That's probably about Hassan. Very excited. Crystal Ball, very excited to be part of this Jacobin event for the Confronting Capitalism pod. Come join me Monday, April 6th. I like Jacobin. I mean, I think they're pretty good. Oh, he's got the Zelda sword. That was back when he had long hair too. Let's hear it.
You call
this guy says, you want this guy at Dem campaign rallies? Let's see what he has to
Crimea.
say.
I call it a part of Russian territory, bitch. That's what I call Crimea. I call it Crimea River, a Russian river. Russia's historic access into the Black Sea, Crimea, that's like historically, fucking ethnically all Russian. You call Crimea?
I mean, that's pretty funny, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not super invested in like the Russia-Ukraine conflict at this point. So I do believe that, you know, Russia did invade imperially, essentially, the, you know, Ukraine. There is like obviously a lot of history there, a lot of like, you know, actual sort of like contested territory sort of stuff, but I don't think that they obviously should be invading and doing it by military means. That's inappropriate. It's offensive, and I don't like it. However, you can make jokes. Like, comedy's legal, people. Trump made it legal again. We're allowed to make jokes and have fun, and so yeah, I think if I had to guess, that's what Hassan was doing there. What do we got here? Now more than ever. The far left, we're going to make sure everyone's needs are met. The far right, we're going to exterminate entire social groups because we believe they're impure. Centrist, I literally cannot tell you two apart. Yeah, classic. Classic. That's a classic meme, everybody. Who are all of these freaks, and why are they showing up on my timeline? They must be like paying some money. They must be paying some money to get this stuff out in front of everybody. I already saw this video. This is the same video. What is happening right now? Am I going insane? Am I going insane right now? Like, why is the same video 3 times on my fucking timeline when I am like so obviously not like, I don't know, like not the type of person to buy into the Hassan derangement shit that they're trying to push. Like this is ridiculous. Okay. I don't know if I need to watch that. I'm actually going to just go ahead and claim that I'm going to already be looking for a funny one to end it on. I know it's very early in the x.com portion, but I gotta, you know, I gotta head out. I have to be somewhere by 11, so.
Wait, you want to... Okay. For Poly Market. Wait,
no, seriously.
Wait. You want to know something about? You want to know something about those? First of all, they got raided by the FBI.
The CEO did.
Yeah, the CEO did. I don't know if you know this, but they offered me as a starting point of the conversation $1 million
Jesus,
to just
dude.
sponsor my election coverage, and I said no.
Good for you. God bless your heart.
$1 million, man. That's like 2 fucking houses. 2 houses. Oh my god, that's insane. Or at least, you know, average. The average is like 400,000. I just like to big numbers like that. I just like to equate to how many houses it could buy. I don't know why. I think it just, you know, our housing market is absurd.
Hard. I probably would have said yes. Anyway,
well, he would have. Cenk is kind of a how do I like? I don't want to say that he's like a ladder climber. And he definitely he does shady sponsorship deals all the time. Let's see. Dude, they have to be like boosting this somehow, or the algorithm's boosting it. I don't know what's going on, but like the hallucinations and the like just insanity of the centrist like third way types is like crazy right now, and how much prominence they're getting. I thought this story was going to be a nothing burger. This whole like we have to distance ourselves from Hassan. I thought, because they've done that same sort of like story like multiple times now over the course of the past couple of years, and usually it just fades away after a week, but this time it's like really sticking around, and I feel like it's like they're putting a lot more money behind it or something is why. I don't really know for sure. Yeah, the US hitting another bridge, you know, more infrastructure, more civilians dead. Okay. This is stuff that people also need to start learning how to do as well. Being able to effectively mitigate the brutality of our of the police in America, because as material conditions get worse and the boot starts, you know, coming down on people's throats even harder, there's going to be a lot more people out there, and the police are going to get a lot more brutal. So, you know, having people learning how to deal with police countermeasures and stuff is always a good thing in my mind.
Wow, I'm putting it out. Yo, holy shit, my eyes are burning like crazy, y'all. He figured out a way to put the damn ball out. That's
Hell yeah.
Look, that's wow work. Oh, that's wow. Look at that.
Dude, that's rad. Hell yeah. I love my radical brothers and sisters going out there, being on the front lines. Oh, who do we think's next? Who do we think's next, people? Stephen Miller isn't going anywhere, I don't think. He's too fundamental to the project of American fascism. My guess is Cash Money, Cash Patel. It's like he always looks like a deer in the headlights, man. Every single picture I see of him. Or Tulsi Gabbard. That's her, right? Yeah, I think that's her. Those two are my guess. Maybe Caroline Leavitt. I'm not 100% sure though. But yeah, I think that Cash is the most likely choice. Oh, Yikes. Yeah. Okay, this is just Iran posting, you know, they're hypocrisy shaming, or trying to hypocrisy shame the America. They're showing a video of American police, our homegrown hogs going out there and you know, brutalizing civilians or whatever. Yeah, a lot of people refuse to recognize like this like sort of brutality that we experience on an everyday basis, as like we seem to think that if it happens in Iran, it's bad, but if it happens over here, it's completely well and justified. So just something for people to keep in mind. Man, I forgot about some of these people. Anonymous posted this, but it is all of the conservative people who have engaged in drag, or at least cross-dressing. And, you know, there's a decent amount of them here. It's something in the conservative condition, right? And I think it's because they are they repress their ability to express themselves in any way other than like quote unquote traditionally masculine. Because they have to push that down so hard, they usually you know, they usually let it out in some way, shape, or form. Like either as a joke, right? Like Steven Crowder does that a lot. Like, oh, this is totally a good joke of me, you know, dressing up like a girl or whatever. Or you know, in secret, like the Tittygate guy, or even some people just like as a part. I don't know. Have you guys when I was in high school, this was kind of a thing a lot. It was guys dressing like they would do things like, oh, the guys do the cheerleading for one game or something, like the football players do or whatever. And it was very like, I mean, it was honestly a little bit transphobic, but it was very just like they're doing it because they think it's funny, or like it's like, this is such a funny joke. But I think it's that same sort of like over like trying to be like overly trying to not being able to express certain parts of your sexuality or your gender in a way that you might be able to if you didn't live in a patriarchal society, just leads people to that sort of like reactionary cross-dressing or whatever, you know. But yeah, okay, let's see. Okay, I'm looking for something fun. I gotta get going pretty soon. Oh, that's cool. Roll for Democracy. So Critical Role is maybe doing a fundraiser for Ray Hong. I don't know much about Ray Hong. I think I heard about, she's a community I'd have to know more about her, but that's cool. I like Critical Role a lot. I play D&D a relatively large amount, so yeah. What do we got? Jesus. It's one big old missile. I'm assuming that's like a sub or something. I don't know what that is, but okay. Get ready tonight for waves 92 and 93. No, that's what? Nuclear? What is this? Okay. Heavy missiles never used before. Are these actual missiles? Jesus, those things are huge. Okay, everybody. We might see some new things tonight. Okay, let's find something funny. I really need to get to something funny because I need to get out of here. So I'm going to be scrolling pretty fast. What's this?
What do you think?
That's probably not going to be funny. Sorry. This is a pretty funny one. This is how I feel as well. If Kamala was in charge and she was doing this war against Iran, I do think that the Democrats would be singing a much different tone, or a much different tune. At least the centrist sort of like neoliberal establishment would be singing a much different tune. I'm gonna like that one though. Okay, what do we got? What do we got? Something funny. Yeah. Uh, Anal. All Nazis are losers. I like this girl. I like her vibe right now. What do we got? Come on, something funny. Something funny. The Nazi. New NHL fans under investigation for allegedly making Nazi salutes during a Stars game at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. This hand signal guy. This is pretty funny. Rest, pet dog, pet children, call taxi. Then this whole zone is the red zone, people. Okay, if you're doing a straight arm, straight hand, like you don't want to be in this zone. Okay, you want to be either way up here, like pick on me, call on me, teacher, or you want to be like, yeah, down here or below. I completely agree with that. That's a pretty good one. Okay, I'm gonna go back up. I don't think that one's gonna be that funny. What do we got? Anything new? 70. Okay. An anti-robbery catcher device. That seems interesting, not funny. I don't know what that is. Ah, okay. This is gonna be This is gonna be it, people. This has to be it. I'm sorry. I got to get going. So, this is some dude named Phil Kennedy. He says me pre-gaming the Kash Patel firing announcement. Let's see. I might not be able to listen to that. Oh, okay. You got to lift it. This dude's jacked. He'll be able to lift it. There you go. Nice. Nice. Yeah, rep it out, buddy. Rep it out. On the boat, too. That's crazy. This is like the most American shit ever. Is he double? Oh my god. Come on, dude. This is the most American fucking shit ever, dude. Oh my god, this is hilarious. Yeah, this is great. This is great. Okay. I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay, buddy. That is going to have to be it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you're watching the VOD, love you too. Thanks for watching as well. And yeah, I guess that's about it. I gotta go. I'm gonna go do some more canvassing around the neighborhood today. So, yeah, this has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Bye bye.